The piece is really about, it's based on my own story, the coping mechanisms and the kind of mental journey that you go on when dealing with something like grief. And in the story, Madeleine Carroll, who's a 1930s Hollywood actress, is my mechanism. She becomes something that I embody and someone that I impersonate in order to find comfort and escape from the reality of losing something that is too hard to deal with at the time.
Might be good to do a similar thing with, so you say lines like Love One's Epic Phrase, you've had a mini bio.
I first started working with Hannah about a year ago on Collidoscope. We initially workshopped her first draft and we sort of did a half an hour showing of the piece in front of a small audience just to kind of get some sense of the worlds in the script, because there are a few different worlds within the play that needed to be explored. It's interesting how much how much of the text actually changed in the last 2 weeks in terms of telling the story, isn't it?
Yeah.
We initially looked at lofts as an idea for where people store all their forgotten memories and forgotten items. In an initial draft, Hannah talked about that was her go-to space when she went to be Madeleine. We thought about what sort of stuff Hannah would have used to create her little world, her little shrine to Madeleine. What you're looking at is a sort of work in progress still. It's going to be decorated completely with photos and archive stuff of Madeleine that we've collated, lots of film posters and postcards and just lots of just shots of her that were taken during her career.
Off with my overcoat, off with my gloves.
The music has played an integral role to this piece. The more we've rehearsed over these last few weeks, we've actually worked you into the show, haven't we?
Yeah, still with sound tracking, but also adding in extra little layers of playing live, but also a little bit of pre-recorded stuff as well.
Yeah.
So layering things up a little bit more and bringing in some of the audio from some of the Madeleine films as well.
Yeah, and I guess because you see the kind of atmosphere that we want from the piece, you can kind of get a sense of what's needed in those moments. Like there was one time we were rehearsing and you said, oh, I think it was towards the end of the piece, you said it feels like this needs to be a bit more kind of hopeful, which was exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really nice way to work, actually.
I've got my love to keep me warm.
I think the interesting thing about this script is that, well, with probably any new writing script and the process of developing a piece of writing is how much is achieved through working on it practically.
Part of the process that you can't account for when you're writing is what you discover in rehearsal. And actually the story with Madeleine Carroll wasn't something that I could write as clearly as how we could portray it on the stage just by adding different gestures or different pieces of clothing or props that help to tell the story of an obsession that gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
It's quite hard to write about it. You sort of have to show that more physically, and I think that's something that you've been pulling out this week.
Should we maybe sing some of the song first?
Keep that in.